I went to public school and I went to university. I'm schooled in biochemistry and molecular biology. I'm as indoctrinated as they come. I don't claim to know everything, and this really brings me into my first point. You must forever remain a student. The day that I shifted my perspective into understanding that I was forever going to be a student in this realm, constantly learning until the day that I die, the day that I realized that I was not going to be an expert, a know-it-all, was the day that I was able to understand more about the reality. And truly, the more I learned about science, the more that this became true for me, as more questions pop up all the time. And I think the underlying mechanism of this mindset shift was that I'll forever remain open-minded. I'm always open to new ideas, new understandings, new ways to look at reality. Remaining a student forever is the most important thing. It's the most important perspective to have for yourself. The problem with many of these experts and these professionals out there, when I would look at my professors in university after I had this shift in my mentality, they thought that they knew it all. They thought that they had all the answers. And this was extremely problematic as it stunted their growth. They stopped learning. They stopped learning about new concepts. They were so specific into one subfield of science, per se, that they couldn't branch out and understand anything else. And really, this leads me to my next point, is that holism is the way to approach the topic at hand. Holism is the way forward. The holistic has become such a buzzword nowadays, but with great value do I place on this topic, on this phenomenon, because a jack of all trades is a master of none, but a jack of all trades is better than being a master of none. And at least in my early life, I'd rather have a great understanding of many different things than have a very specific understanding of one concept, right? I feel like that really pigeonholes you into this mindset, this closed-mindedness. And so remaining open-minded is fundamentally one of the most important things when it comes to understanding and learning anything, especially when it comes to health. That's such a complex topic. My next point is that you have to have some sort of humility when it comes to approaching these topics, such as science and health sciences especially. Humility is necessary, right? Because it leads to a sort of an objective nature, which we'll touch on in a moment. And this sort of ties into the previous points, right? I felt like the professors at my universities and the doctors that I encounter have no humility when it comes to knowledge acquisition, right? They have this understanding that they're well versed in their topic and that they know that they are an expert. And I think that really holds you back in understanding and looking at things in a new, fresh light that's meaningful and purposeful for your path and journey forward. As human beings, we think that we know so much, but in reality, we know so little about the cosmos. And when you learn about science and you look at it truthfully and objectively, you realize that many of the conclusions drawn are so arbitrary and may not even be valid or true. They may not be reliable. And honestly, many of the experiments aren't even reproducible. So these are all things that are important to consider, but remaining humble is very, very important. Objectivity might be the most challenging thing to implement in your life, but something that really has propelled me forward. Remaining objective, remaining indifferent in the outcome, right? In the pursuit of truth, you need to surrender to the truth. You need to surrender to what is real. You need to surrender to your reality, and remaining objective is necessary. Subjectivity is the killer of truth, right? And there could be a great debate on the differences between a subjective truth and an objective truth. But if you are in pursuit of any sort of objective truth, whether it comes to the health sciences or the natural sciences, physics, whether it comes to economics, you need to remain objective. You need to surrender to the truth. You cannot have any implications, any vested interests. You have to be fully okay with the outcome that could be. And you have to be okay with that shifting through time. Nobody stumbles upon the truth and then, goes by that for their entire life in the true pursuit of truth, right? That only occurs when people are in a subjective or perceptive form of truth. Like, look at the Sam Harrises and the Richard Dawkins. They believe that they have all the answers. They believe that there's this materialistic construct. But that's the problem, is that they're not open to new ideas. They're not open to any sort of alternatives, right? So they're not remaining objective humble, or any of the things that I've mentioned so far. If you don't get it by now, to crack the health and science field, it's all about shifting your perspective. Of course, learning is very important, and like I said at the start of the video, there's a lot that I don't know. But that's a very important thing when you're engaged in any sort of study or pursuit of truth. Shifting your perspective is fundamentally the most important thing. You know, I learned so little from university and school because they were trying to put me in a box. They were trying to tell me what to think. And I know this is sort of like classic alternative health hippie shit to say. Really, you don't learn anything in these settings. The only thing that you could take away is the relationships that you make. Your perspective is everything, and staying closed-minded will hinder your progress. And so it's fundamentally the most important thing to shift your perspective. Of course, remaining forever a student in the pursuit of knowledge and learning from other people's perspectives is absolutely foundational. I'm not trying to negate that, especially in the search for truth. But you need to have an open mind. You need to be ready at any given time to shift your perspective. And if I could impart any advice, that's what it would be. If you found this informative or you like this in any way, please give us a like, share, comment, subscribe, and sharing is really the best way to get the word out. I appreciate you all for checking it out. Take her easy.